Ladies and gentlemen, this is Under Review, the most controversial show in the Major Arena Soccer League. My name is Phil Lavanco. That is the head of officials for the MASL, Ryan Cigich. If you're new to the show, we take the most controversial refereeing decisions of the MASL weekend, and Ryan gives his opinions on the play. Now, the key word here is opinion. These are Ryan's thoughts and not the views of the league. Ryan, did I catch everything on our first show of the year?
Yeah, you did, Phil. We're back again. Let's go.
All right, well, before we get to our first play, we've had some rule changes for this upcoming season. We've had a couple of weeks now. How satisfied are you with the results from these rule changes?
The jury's still out, I believe, but I think this in a whole is the most productive, will be the best rule changes to improve the overall quality of the games that we've seen in many, many years.
Awesome. I'm sure we're going to talk about some of these rule changes throughout the year, but let's get to the plays from this week. And Ryan, we're going to start off in Tacoma, the Sockers versus the Stars. 8:05 in the third period. We've got a review for a potential handball here on Ben Raymond in the San Diego wall on Nick Pereira's shot. It's very difficult for me from this angle to think that this is a handball inside the penalty box.
Well, okay, I can see that, Phil, but first of all, let's say, is it a handball? And I think the answer to everybody should be yes. His arm is away from his body, is in an unnatural position. So then the determination, as you alluded to, has to be made. Is it inside the penalty area or not? So would it be a penalty kick or just a free kick from the top of the penalty area line? And it's determined by the referees to be a penalty kick. And the rationale here, Phil, is that the line is part of the area. So an offense that occurs on the line is actually inside the penalty area. And if you think about, the players have to be on the line during the taking of that free kick. So if you put that information together, that the players have to be on the line's part of the penalty area, putting that together there, the main referee, Drew Klepp, makes the determination that the handball offense occurs inside the penalty area and therefore a penalty kick.
Okay, Ryan, you've got that one locked tight, but this one I've got a question on. Later in the third period, Nick Pereira and Boris Pardo. Pardo makes the save. It gets challenged for a handball outside the box. Pereira was furious that he wanted this challenge, and I think he's right in making this call, and not exactly the most clear-cut evidence, but I'm going to point you to the shadows of Boris Pardo here, and I'm going to freeze it right here at 52 seconds. If you're watching the shadow of the ball the entire time, that is outside of the box the entire time. To me, this is a handling offense.
Oh, Phil, you want the referees to start looking for shadows?
I mean, if we're looking at review, We're looking at everything.
Okay, all right, Phil. So I do agree there with Pereira, but remember, they have a time limit on this, and this was really borderline. In fact, I might have denied this challenge just based on the fact that it took them 16 seconds to decide. But regardless, this is a really, really tough call as a referee to make and to be confident about, are you accurate or not, because there's no proper position as a referee that you're supposed to be in order to make the call. You'd have to be out in the middle of the field looking straight down the line, the side of the penalty area, to be able to tell, was Pardo's hand inside or fully outside. Now, I've never thought about looking at shadows, so, you taught me something new here today, Phil, but, looking at it on VR, which is what the referees did, I just think it's not conclusive. Maybe Pardo's full hand was out, but just based on the fact that there's no conclusive evidence, the referees decide to stay with the original call on the field, which was no handball.
You learn something new every time on this show. One more from this game. We've got a simple coming together between Tavoy Morgan and Corey Keats near the goal. Tavoy raises his arms as Corey Keats comes closer. His tricep makes a little bit of contact with Corey's face. Corey goes down. Our referee takes a second to ponder the situation and assesses a blue card on Tavoy Morgan. It goes to review, and the blue card is taken away. Ryan, I agree with this decision. Do I think Tavoy put up his hands intentionally and try to give our hero a little love tap? Absolutely. But is this blue card worthy? I don't think it is. I think the referees got it right.
Well, the contact well, there is contact, but it's very minimal and negligible. And then Corey does really exaggerate that contact. However, like what's Tavoy doing? He's moving his arm back into Corey's head area. So as you said there, a blue card power play is issued on the field there by the referee, Kelsey Harms. It's under 5 minutes in the game, so the referees have the option to go to video review and take another look at it, which they do. And after review, they determine exactly what your opinion is, that the contact is just careless and should be deemed as only a foul. I support that call, as you stated very well. There's not a whole lot in it. However, had they stayed with the blue card, I really wouldn't have had an issue with that either, because, Tavoy, he knows what he's doing. And really, he had no business lifting his arm and then moving it backwards.
All right, Ryan, we saved the best one for last, best being subjective, of course. Kansas City, Milwaukee, fourth quarter. Kansas City up to this ship potentially is the sixth goal for the Comets. Willie B is adamant about the referees have their blue card up. It goes to review, and then, well, Ryan, I'm not exactly sure what happens here. Why don't you tell us?
Well, Phil, we've only played 2 weeks, and yeah, we have a controversial situation here. A very unusual situation, too, let me say, because what happened here is that one of the 3 floor referees displays the blue card in the air for too many men against Kansas City. And he calls it as a delayed penalty, which is, those where we allow play to continue. And that's what kind of initially starts to derail this situation, because the too many men should not be called as a delayed time penalty. It's either too many men and you blow the whistle and stop the play, or it's not too many men and play goes on. So at that point, as you referenced there, the Milwaukee goalkeeper, Willie B, he sees the card in the air and then he makes a run toward his bench to sub out, because we have to remember that when there is a delayed penalty, once the penalized team, in this case it would have been Kansas City, gains possession of the ball, the play is whistled dead. Okay, so that play then, since it was initially called as a delayed, even though it shouldn't have been, that should have been whistled dead when Kansas City got possession at midfield. But then what further complicates and derails the situation even more, then at some point the referee puts the card back in his pocket, which is an error. Because once the card is out in the air, we can't just lower it. It has to stay out until the play stops. So the referees get together in conference, and oh, by the way, there's also a VR challenge flagged by Milwaukee there. And it was determined that there was not a too many men violation. So now the discussion becomes, what should the restart of play be? Meaning, should the goal be allowed? And, they felt that since there was multiple errors made, and because of those errors, the goalkeeper reacted to that the way he did, that they felt it was unfair to allow the goal to stand, and that the goal would not have happened if any of those errors were not made. And from a practical standpoint, and in the spirit of the game and common sense, I agree this goal was correctly disallowed. I don't necessarily expect Kansas City to like it or agree with me, but I think this was the right thing to do.
That's it for the first episode of Under Review for the season. Ryan, can you believe we've been doing this show for 4 years? Our little baby's about to go to college.
Sure. I shouldn't say.